This is what we've got for this weekend. Now, I feel most scared about my first pick here with Pittsburgh not losing by
Boy,
2 touchdowns.
that's a huge line.
So that's what's crazy, right? And this is why I'm going with it. That line is the largest line for the Pittsburgh Steelers since 1969.
Wow,
They
since
have not been nice. They
nice.
they have
Since the
not
Jets were Super Bowl champions.
right with Smoke and Joe Namath. Like they have not been a 14-point underdog since the 60s. The Pittsburgh Steelers. My guess is Mike Tomlin's going to make that known to his team. My guess is that they're going to be extra motivated. And I feel like, look, the Bills are going to win this game,
No question.
but the Bills either blow people out, except for with the exception of last week. For the most part, the Bills will either blow people out or then they'll get behind and the game goes a little bit of a awry for them. Although they kind of disprove that a bit against the Ravens, and so maybe they have more gradations to their greatness than I thought. But I trust Tomlin so
But it's
much.
certainly possible that they have, like, when they have these games, like you said, or these moments when, like, the easy button is not working and, like, Allen's scrambles aren't getting where he wants them to be, or like Allen and Diggs' connection is not working and they can't get anything going on the ground that isn't Allen scrambling. So I
Yeah.
agree. I think there is sometimes possibilities for how sometimes immortal they can look for them to have missteps like that. You know, Steelers line is bad. New quarterback with Kenny Pickett. He's only gotten a half of action since the Jets game. Like,
That's the thing,
and
though, is like that they will also have less film on him to understand what
that's a
they
good
can
point
do
too.
with
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett.
right.
And
They've had 3 weeks or 4 weeks of Trubisky and one half of Pickett against the Jets.
And what scares me is Matt Canada, and what scares me is his offensive line. But I do think they're going to pull out all the stops for Kenny Pickett to succeed in his first actual start in the NFL. So this is more just like gut and general trust in the Steelers, which in the past has served me right in sports betting, but recently has not because they've been so bad this year so far. But 14 points just seems way too much for me. Now, why don't you go about on we'll alternate here because
Okay.
I almost picked the Chargers and then I rethought it.
Well, I'm really disappointed in making this pick. And I'm disappointed with my Super Bowl team, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I was like, you just made it a half hour ago. You don't want to. You could change it if you want, but
Because
you mean you're disappointed?
I'm disappointed that I feel as confident in this pick as I do because the Chargers have just been playing incredibly uninspired football on both sides of the ball. It's a similar thing, but to a worse degree than what I feel like with Buffalo, in the sense that Herbert, the offense essentially right now is Justin Herbert be a god,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
Uncork a one-of-one unbelievable ball into tight windows to the, scrap heap basically that is their wide receiver room outside of like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. To like
And Keenan
Jalen
Allen hasn't been playing.
Right, and he hasn't been playing to like Jalen Guyton and Josh Palmer, Xander Horvath, like
No.
these kind of guys who are not super formidable or super well known. And beyond that, there's just not a lot of creativity. I mean, Austin Eckler didn't get his first rushing touchdown until last week. So, like, I'm just not super confident in what they have going on that side of the ball. I'm not super confident outside of, like, Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson and a few others on the defensive side of the ball with how they've been playing.
Because Bosa's not in.
And Joey Bosa's not playing, right? And whereas the Browns, crazily enough, have had one of the most, like, not crazily enough given the talent on the line, how much money they've spent on the line and the running backs that they have. But I mean, the combination, Jedrick Wills, Wyatt Teller, and Joel Bitonio on the line with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt running behind them. Even Dearness Johnson getting some snaps as well. It's just been a really, really explosive run game. And if Jacoby Brissett can essentially just kind of not make that many mistakes in the passing game and maybe get a few good routes or good catches from Amari Cooper, I just think this I could see this game not only being even. I could even pick this line closer, even at +1, honestly. But
Yeah.
I really do think they'll win this game.
If you
I think
guys
they'll
are just
win by-
listening on the podcast, the line is plus
plus
two and a
2.5,
half
yeah, sorry,
for
but-
Cleveland. So this would be, I mean, like you think Cleveland's going to win this game. The more you talk, the more confident I get, given how the Chargers can't freaking stop the run.
And that's the other
this
thing
is
too.
the
Their run
bet-
defense is not as
Right.
it was the biggest problem when they lost it to the Raiders in Week 17 last year, and it still isn't that much better.
I know, and they took Zion Johnson in the first round this year, which is he's a really good player. But I thought that they were going to be a bit more aggressive in addressing the defensive tackle position because they just need more big people in the center
And I mean, you have
of the,
Mac.
of the defensive line.
You have Mac, which is a great piece, but he's not getting any younger. Bosa's injured, and then it's. You have Derwin James, but Derwin James is given a lot of responsibility that isn't just blitzing, isn't just rushing the quarterback. He has many other functions beyond being a pass rusher. And JC Jackson again, same thing. JC Jackson's a number one corner. Like they're made up so that it's not if they're not getting a lot of pressure from the front four, I think it's just going to be tough for them to stop the run, especially against truly, in my opinion, outside of maybe honestly, like the Falcons. They've had with Cordarrelle Patterson. I mean, he got injured this past week, but this is probably the most dynamic run game in the entire league right now.
It is, and it's Jacoby Brissett's been playing really well, really just solid football. He's the prime example to me of size as a skill as a quarterback because he's just one big dude, and he can get those sneaks, and he can get those cheap yardage and all that kind of stuff. So I'm the more you speak about it, the more I'm convinced that you're right.
Prove me wrong, Justin Herbert. Win this game and win the Super Bowl.
I know. I'm worried. I just.
It's really
that
really
receiver room
unfortunate.
is bad. Like
It's just not what they need.
I just feel like just because of fantasy production, I think sometimes Mike Williams and Keenan Allen get overrated as players.
Yep.
Keenan Allen was good in his prime. He's on the decline.
He's a great
Mike
route
Williams,
runner, and he doesn't have as much production to show for it. Williams has like the game.
He's a bit of a one-trick pony.
Right. He has game-breaking deep route attributes, like super explosive. But again, these guys has not really put together an entire resume or entire season of dynamic work like that. So.
They need somebody who can stretch the field. There's not enough speed in that receiver.
And the person who should be stretching the field shouldn't be the quarterback.
Well,
it should be the receiver.
And he has the arm to do it. So
yes,
get
absolutely.
a guy that can catch a long bomb from him. I just feel like it's not enough explosive plays despite the quarterback that they have. All right, let's my other lock here is Seattle's in New Orleans +6. This feels way too big for me, given how the Geno Smith has played and how the Seahawks have looked so far.
Oh my God!
It's been nice to see a resurgence of Will Dissly, who I think is an underrated tight end.
And the Hawks just love getting their tight ends, red zone looks.
Right.
They just love getting those guys involved.
Yeah, and I just genuinely I like. From a big picture perspective, look, the Seahawks, I thought about this for a second. Like, are they going to be exhausted from that offensive firepower game against the Lions? But New Orleans is coming back from London, and they don't have a bye and so that just felt way too large for me because teams don't tend to struggle without having a bye after their London games. And I don't know what the health of their team is. If Jameis Winston's going to be starting,
if Alvin Kamara, if Michael Thomas,
right? Well, Alvin Kamara's been right, exactly. I would imagine Michael Thomas is not playing again.
I'm not super intimidated by Andy Dalton potentially starting this game,
and I wouldn't be intimidated by a banged up Jameis Winston. He does a bit more than Andy Dalton in terms of stretching the field, but he's also good for some mistakes, especially if he's playing injured. So this was a fairly no-brainer for me. Even though I don't necessarily think when they're all healthy, Seattle is the more talented team. I still think that New Orleans is the more talented team. But just from circumstances and the way that the line looks, I just feel like Seattle's going to at least keep it close.
And this offense is, Geno Smith, by some passing metrics, has literally been like the fourth most accurate or efficient quarterback behind Mahomes, Allen, and Herbert, or Mahomes, Allen, and one other guy,
Yeah.
or maybe Jalen Hurts potentially. He's literally the fourth guy.
He does have.
It's
I mean,
insane how well he's been playing, given what
yes.
people's expectations were for him coming in. He's been incredibly accurate. He's essentially not really been making that many mistakes, and then combine that with also getting some real juice recently from Rashad Penny on the ground. I mean,
Yes.
Penny's had a few really explosive runs, and I just think
he's
that
finally healthy,
Yeah.
and he's showing his potential coming out of college, which is why they made him he was on the end of the first
yeah,
round
he
pick.
was first round
Yes.
pick. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I like Geno has everything that you want in term. He doesn't do anything elite, but he has the size you want. He has a good arm. He seems to
accurate.
he's
I mean,
accurate.
yeah.
He makes good reads. Like he's very much average at a lot of things. And with the offense that Pete Carroll likes to run, a defensive minded head coach, that's really all you need. And looking like they completely destroyed the Broncos in that trade, by the way.
Oh my god! I mean,
So
look at this. Look at the stats after 4. I mean, it's crazy though. 4 weeks. It's 4 out of 17 games. I mean, it's now talk about sample size. It's a quarter of the season basically.
Yeah. So I got Seattle +6.
I definitely see this one for sure.
And now the other team that was in that matchup where both teams scored over 40 points last week, the Detroit Lions. You've got them +3.5 at New England. We are back on our bullshit. I am picking all road teams, and you are picking all underdogs.
I tweeted this out. I said it's the underdog and the road dog.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really is
That's
becoming
us.
like a trope for us.
I mean, it's pretty intentional on my part. I don't love picking favorites, but usually I'm like these 3 are the ones that I also thought in terms of the closeness of the spread and the makeup of the teams were kind of made the most sense to me. So, but I do love picking underdogs.
Yeah.
Well, and this is another line that I don't fully agree with, because I know the Patriots played it close to the Packers last week, but I don't think they were playing it super close because Bailey Zappi looked particularly good on offense. And if Mac Jones is not healthy, Bailey Zappi he was throwing ducks. He was throwing melon balls. There is no zip on any of those passes. There's no zappy on any of those passes.
Oh.
If you can take that, you guys can take that one for
Yes.
any of your water cooler discussions if you'd like.
Hey, Stephen A.
If you're watching Stephen A. Smith, you can use that.
Hey, Bradley, royalties, please.
That's where Scott Van Pelt. But
Yep.
my
That was me being Berman.
the Lions obviously had an enormous amount of offensive firepower in the game against the Seahawks, but they clearly, I mean, there was no defense played in that game whatsoever. However, my thinking is I can just see the Lions building on that performance. I'm not concerned about the Lions scheme. The Lions offensive scheme is incredibly sound, and the players run it really, really well. If the defense even holds up mildly against Bailey Zappi in this pretty, Devontae Parker aside, pretty kind of impotent Patriots offense, I think they cover and also win. I think it's really just a matter of the defense holding up, because offensively the Lions have not had problems staying in games. They've had problems keeping leads, and that's just the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Belichick would scare me. Cause,
of course. I mean, it's just Campbell being outcoached by Belichick would not be a surprise whatsoever. It's more, I just think that honestly the personnel they have.
Yeah, that makes sense. And lastly, this is probably the one I feel best about. The Niners winning by at least a touchdown, -6.5.
Against the worst team in the NFL. My hatred for the Panthers has only
knows
grown.
no bounds.
It's really it's just grown and grown and grown this whole season.
I look at them with such disgust.
True resentment.
I mean, if fucking McAdoo is your offensive coordinator.
I forget. And also Robert Mays on the Athletic NFL show made this point. They have had a bad offense across, if I'm not mistaken, three different offensive coordinators.
Well, they had Joe Brady. Who was he was good for 3 weeks, and then people realized, oh, this is a college offense, and it's actually really easy for me to figure this out. And he didn't adjust at all.
Got fired midseason.
Yeah.
Then I think there was someone between him and McAdoo.
Yeah.
I forgot who, but I'm pretty positive. And also, it's just interesting to me. The reason I say that is because there has been a lot of personnel change, but nothing. The actual like on field product looks the same in terms of lack of like discipline, composure, creativity, scheme, like dynamism. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like,
there's no rhyme and rhythm to the offense. No plays build on each other. It's just like, all right, Baker's got a strong arm. We'll throw this 20-yard out route, and no one's gonna catch it.
Yeah, no one's gonna catch it. Like Baker can't see his receivers, or like he's gonna take a terrible sack. He's gonna muff a hand off because like he can't really like capably do that for some reason after 4 or 5 years in the NFL. The only saving grace they have is the defense. I mean, Phil Snow, I think, is a creative defensive coordinator. I think Brian Burns I like Brian Burns a lot. They have a few interesting pieces.
Derek Brown's good.
Derek Brown's good. I think they have a few interesting pieces there, but like really, that's it.
Yeah, I don't trust their scheme. I mean, they have good players on the defensive side, but the coaching is so like might be the worst in the NFL besides maybe the Cardinals. And so I really anyway. I was like, did you pick this game too? Because you just went off on the Panthers.
Because I'm so upset. Yeah. Did I? Because I'm so angry at that.
I was like, I got lost for a second.
I'm just like a parent. I'm just sternly like,
yeah,
you deserve this.
Yeah, they
Think
do.
About
well,
what you've done.
I mean, this is like this is the issue with David Tepper is he's just completely not built this team at all, or had his football people build the team at all, and he's just been like quarterback, any quarterback. And so I just think they're a dysfunctional team.
Absolutely.
And the Niners
they're not going to be until Rule gets fired, in my opinion.
Yes, and he's got to go. He's got to go. And the Niners are, besides the quarterback position, top 5 talent in the NFL.
And maybe besides honestly, the Bucs, one of the best defenses. I mean, one of the strongest, most creative and fun linebacker cores to watch. I mean, I was just watching some clips from the Monday game. The Niners-Rams game of Fred Warner and Talanoa Hufanga. Again, it's like where do they find these guys? Hufanga was the guy in the conference.
D'Amico Ryans deserves a ton of credit.
I was just gonna say he just was having his way with the Rams offense that day. Everyone was basically just pinning their ears back and just like keying on every single round, just being like, "We're going to eat you." Now.
It's fun to see him have this success after being able to watch him in the NFL and like him. He was a really great player. Ryans, and now he's this really great defensive coordinator. And I'm just like a little grossed out by some of the way that he just gets no love. And I remember they were always obsessively showing Robert Saleh when he was the DC in San Francisco on the sidelines clapping and stuff. And it doesn't seem like anybody is paying attention to D'Amico Ryans, but maybe he seems like more of a soft-spoken guy, so maybe that's kind of the situation. But I also think there's some soft racism there as well.
I think there's a definite possibility for that. But it's like Ben Johnson, like talk about like we should be thinking about him for maybe a head coaching spot too. D'Amico Ryans for sure.
So long story short, I just think the Niners are. I think with poor coaching, Kyle Shanahan is going to eat. He's going to feast. So I definitely see the Niners winning by at least a touchdown. And lastly.
So I'm taking the Bengals +3 against the Ravens. This is a scorcher, and especially I
don't know about this one.
This is also coming from me. I think I've bet with the Ravens 4 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row, and now I'm done. I'm done with that.
Sam, we're done.
We're done.
I've been rewatching Jersey Shore recently, so
we're done. That's it. The reason I'm picking this is because I'm eating a little bit of crow, not necessarily because of the final score, but I was trying my best to make the case that the Ravens front seven, the defensive line, had a little bit more juice in the sense of like I like Justin Madubuike, like I like some of their newer guys on the line. I still think Justin Houston has a little bit of juice left, despite he's long in the tooth and he's played a while, but. They did not give me any hope that they will have a lot of success rushing the passer. And they really weren't, even against a pretty middling offensive line from the Bills, especially in the second half when the Bills kind of came roaring back on Sunday. So I think you were definitely right about that, Emma. That I was pretty massively overrating that defensive line.
Well, you see them in Ravens uniforms and you're
it's hard to
right. Think of every year they've had a freaking amazing
that they'll be able to cobble it together and have some sort of pressure, but they just don't. It just doesn't seem like they have it. And I was I was pretty heartened. I know. Obviously, Tua got injured. The and it wasn't obviously maybe the greatest offensive performance, but I think the Bengals took a big step in that Dolphins game last Thursday. So I can just see them. I'm hoping that this might be Burrow and the line kind of getting a little bit more communication, and getting a little bit more cohesion from all the new pieces, as opposed to the pretty terrible performance we've seen from them.
Yeah.
The past few weeks, and hopefully the receiving core can hold up, because I understand. I don't know about T. Higgins' availability, right?
He's questionable.
He's questionable. So I mean, if I obviously know he might be a little banged up, especially from the concussion, but if Mixon can get something going and if the run blocking can improve, if Higgins, Chase, and Boyd can kind of get something going with Burrow, I just think there's a shot that they are able to turn this around offensively, and I think they could do it against a Ravens defense who I definitely thought would be more formidable, but really haven't shown that.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's just such a coin flip game for me because part of me feels like Harbaugh is just not going to let them lose 2 in a row at home. And
That's a good point. And is it still M&T Bank Stadium? Is it still M&T Bank?
Yeah.
Like, huge, like kind of not. I wouldn't say like Arrowhead or Lambeau, but big home field advantage.
Yeah,
huge Ravens faithful. In the sense.
But
of
I
like,
trust the team of the Bengals more than I trust. So, like, I'm conflicted about this game, but it's I have no idea what it's going to be. I do think it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, it might be.
It's going to be
sure.
a fun Sunday night. It's going to be the best. We've had some stinkers.
I know,
on Sunday Night Football.
and honestly, ones that I wasn't expecting to be stinkers. Like, I thought Chiefs Bucks was not going to be that like kind of a flop. I mean,
that was the best one so far.
It wasn't excuse me, not like a flop, but I mean in the sense of like I thought that was definitely the most exciting one. I might have been. What was the one I was thinking of? That was Packers Bucks. Sorry, Packers Bucks was the one where I was like.
That was at 4:30. But
really mad. I really thought. Well,
there was a Broncos one.
That one was definitely. Sorry, that was probably what I was thinking. Is the Broncos game? Broncos Packers.
Yeah,
like the 11-10 game, right?
Right. I'm just I don't even know where I can find this.
Like the times, but
okay,
yeah.
It was the opening was Bucks Cowboys 19-3.
Yeah, like that was a bad game.
Then
right.
Bears Packers, which was 27-10.
Which like who would have
then
even thought
Broncos, as we said, Broncos Niners 11
Broncos Niners
to 10.
Me. A lot of misinformation coming from me.
Yeah, 11-10. I mean, it was sucky. And
I'm a
then
Russian bot.
Yes. I shouldn't say that. That last week was the best one.
100%, because I almost forgot. Yeah, 41-31. At least it was entertaining and high scoring. The other ones, like you said, either like not a great matchup in terms of kind of a lopsided talent discrepancy, like with Packers Bears, and also frankly Bucks Cowboys. But yeah, hopefully this is a fun game. Hopefully this is not like a 7-3.
Right. I doubt it will be.
Yeah. No, me too.
Because
for sure.
of Lamar being so great, and because of the on the other side of the ball in his team, the Ravens defense.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty bad right now.
Lamar versus the Ravens defense is the game.
That's the game. All right, guys. So Bradley has the Bengals +3. We shall see. Hopefully, it's a good game at the very least.